welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Mal and I am the owner and maker of Made by Manny and Mal. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a kind of like faux peekaboo design. I made this cup for a fellow Tumbler maker, Tana from Simply Snow Designs. We did a little cup swap and this is the design I made for her. It's got a little bit of a spring feel, a little bit of a pastel touch, and I'm going to show you a little trick for making your tumbler look like it was a little bit more complicated than it actually was, if you know what I mean. So I hope that you enjoy it. If you do, make sure you hit the big thumbs up button down below and make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my new videos. I will have a full supply list of everything I'm using in this tutorial down below in the description box. I'll also have links to my social media pages, a link to join my Facebook group, and a link to sign up for my exclusive mentorship group, MBMM Elite, and of course, you know I've got some discount codes down there for you as well. Okay, I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Let's go. We're starting out with this really pretty sheet of pattern vinyl. This is called Watercolor Blooms. It's from the vinyl Cottage. And this swap that we did was a spring theme, so I definitely had to do some floral in there. I'm going to do a full wrap of this vinyl on my tumbler. I'm using a 30-ounce skinny straight tumbler from Craft Haven. And I cut my vinyl down to size just a little bit. I always leave a little tiny bit of excess that I can cut off once the vinyl is on the tumbler, but I do find that it is a whole lot easier working with a smaller sheet of vinyl versus the entire 12 by 12 sheet. So I'm going to wrap the vinyl around my cup, secure one end of the vinyl down with my painter's tape, and then I'll start to apply the vinyl to the tumbler. I'm going to peel away about 2 inches of the backing from the vinyl, and then I'm going to secure this small section to my tumbler first before I apply the rest of the vinyl to my cup. I do this to ensure that my vinyl is actually placed where I want it to be, instead of pulling off all the backing, applying the vinyl, and then realizing that it's not straight or it's not how I want it, and then you have to pull it off again and reposition it. So I just put a little piece on, wrap the rest of the vinyl around my cup, make sure everything is lined up, and then I'm good to go with applying it to my tumbler. I like to use a felt-edged squeegee to push the vinyl onto my cup. I'm using this super big squeegee. This is from the Bowen, and this has made vinyl wrapping cups so much easier. I will have this linked down below in the description box for you if you want to grab one. It is one of my favorite tools in my studio. Once I've got the vinyl wrapped on my cup, I'm going to cut off all of the excess vinyl from the seam area. I always like to cut in a kind of like wavy line, or I cut around the pattern a little bit. I feel like it just helps disguise the seam a little bit better than just a regular straight line down, especially with busier patterns like this floral. You can kind of disguise the seam a little bit just by cutting kind of a wavy line. So then I'm going to move up to the top rim of the cup, cut off all of the excess vinyl from up there as well. I really recommend using a super sharp craft knife when you do this. It will just glide across the vinyl and cut it just like butter. Moving down to the bottom of the cup now, I'm going to try and smooth out this little tiny bit of excess vinyl that we've got on the bottom rim, and then I'm going to take my cup edging tool and slice off all of that excess vinyl. I've got my blade placed really low on this tool so that it just cuts off like the lowest amount of vinyl that it can, if that makes sense. I really want the vinyl to go as far down to the bottom of the cup as it can without lifting or giving us bumps or any issues down the road. All right, so now we're ready to build our decal. I want to do a kind of like faux peekaboo type design on this cup. So I'm going to Creative Fabrica and I'm going to search for a like varsity college block font. These are really trendy and popular right now, and Creative Fabrica has a ton of different styles within the same like font style, if that makes sense. So I just scrolled and found one that I like. This one is called Varsity Football Team. So when I searched, I just searched varsity and then filtered my search by fonts, and you can see so many of them came up. So I'm going to download this Varsity Football Team font. This is an incognito window right now, so you'll see that if I didn't have the unlimited membership, I would have to pay about $5 for this font, but I'm going to go and find this font in my Creative Fabrica account, and you'll see that I'm just able to download it right away without any additional charge. It'll just be included in the cost of my membership. So I'm going to go find this font, click on it, and hit the green download button. That's going to download the zip file to my computer. So once I've got it downloaded, I'll double click on the zip. It will expand and then show me all of the different elements or all of the different pieces of this font. So there's an OTF and a TTF. I always install the OTF fonts. So on my Mac, to install it, all I do is double click on the font, my font book comes up, I click install, and then it's included in my fonts. Then to get this into my Silhouette Studio, I will just close out my Silhouette Studio and then restart it. And when I reopen Silhouette Studio, it will populate in my font options for me. Those steps might be a little different if you have a Windows computer, but that's how you do it on a Mac. So now I'm in Silhouette Studio, I'm ready to build our decal. I'm gonna just put Tana's name on this tumbler. I originally was thinking maybe I would have it say like Bloom or something, but then I decided to just go way more personal and just put her name on it. So I typed in her name, Tana, and I'm gonna go to my font options, search Varsity, the font will come right up, and there we go. So we've got our first layer of our decal ready to go. This is going to have a lot of different pieces and layers that we're going to build on to really make a cool dimensional looking design element here. So the first thing we're going to do is create a fairly large offset of her name. So I played around with a few different widths. The goal here, what I'm looking for, is a pretty solid, like thick background. I don't want a lot of cutout space in between the letters in her name. So I'm just playing around with thickness to see what I like, see what looks the best. I think I ended up going with a 0.300 or 0.225. You'll just have to play with it depending on obviously whatever word or decal you're using. But the goal here is to find a width that is thick enough that you can apply this in one piece without having to use transfer tape. Next, we're going to create another offset of the regular name decal, not the large offset we just made. So this one is going to be on the thinner side, not super thin. I think I went with 0.09 on this one. This is going to be the outline of our letters that we add. So at this point, we have 3 layers of our decal. We've got our regular name, our thick offset, and then our super thin offset. And I'm gonna make the black middle layer that you see there, that's gonna be our super thin offset. So I duplicated our regular name, the one that's purple, because I'm going to take the copy of it, lay it on top of the black, and slice them out of each other. So I'm going to highlight them both, right click, and hit make compound path, and that's going to cut the top purple layer out of the bottom black layer. So if you have a Cricut and you use design space, you would layer them, highlight them both, and then use the slice function to give you the same result. The final layer, I forgot to screen record, but we're going to essentially do the same thing. We're going to create an outline of the thick white offset that we created first. So we'll do the same steps. We'll cut that white offset out of the offset we create. So essentially we're left with 4 layers of our decal. So I cut out the thick white offset first. I'm using regular Oracal 651 vinyl, and I'm so sorry this is blurry. My camera didn't focus on the right thing at all. But as you can see here, my vinyl is not weeded, and I'm going to go in with some Mod Podge. I'm going to paint a thin layer of that on my vinyl, and then I'm going to weed everything out. So we're left with just the name on the backing, and only the name has the glue on it. We're going to glitter this layer of vinyl. This is going to be our little faux peekaboo element. So once I've got it weeded, I'm going to go in with my glitter. I'm using Opal Majesty from Peachy Olive Glitters. I would recommend using a finer cut versus a chunkier cut for this step. It just makes it a whole lot easier to get the right finish and make everything smooth and easier to work with. So I'm going to give that a very nice coat, tap off all of the excess, and then I'm going to let this sit and dry for about 45 minutes. Once it was totally dry, I gave it 2 really good coats of clear spray from Rust-Oleum to seal the glitter in, and now we're ready to apply it to our tumbler. I don't have any epoxy on my tumbler yet, so I'm just going to go in and apply this decal right on top of the plain vinyl, and I'm going to place it right over that seam to camouflage it even more. I'm going to very carefully peel this vinyl off of the backing. At this point, it should be pretty thick because we've got the glitter and the spray sealer on, so you shouldn't have too many issues getting it off the backing. That's one of the reasons we want this to be kind of on the thicker side and have all the letters attached to each other. It just makes it easier to apply to your cup. Once we've got the decal on, we're ready to go in and add our first layer of epoxy. I'm going to do a coat of about 30 milliliters of Flynn Sisters Premium Epoxy on my tumbler. Make sure you torch really well to pop any bubbles. Once that coat is all cured and your cup is totally smooth, we're ready to go in with the next layer of our decal. So this is the main name that we created, just the regular font by itself without any offsets or cutouts or anything, and I cut it out of this Sunset Galaxy transparent vinyl from BAMF. Tana really loves pastel colors, so I wanted to bring a little bit of that into her tumbler design. Now, when I was initially planning this design, I thought that the colors from this would show up a little bit more than they did, but in the end, it gave it a really nice kind of subtle pastel element and dimension to it. I really like how it turned out still, even though it's very, very subtle. So as you can see, what I'm doing is just taking those letters individually and placing them right in the middle on top of that white offset that we have. This is also going to help us make sure that we place the black outline correctly. Now, if you wanted to, of course, you don't have to use transparent vinyl. You can use another pattern, you can use another solid vinyl, you can really use whatever color combo or theme you want for this design. The possibilities are really endless. So anyway, once I've got the pastel name on, I'm going to move into the black outline. I cut this out of Onyx black textured metallic vinyl from Cricut. So I'm going to apply these once again individually, letter by letter. It's just easier for me that way. And I'm going to apply this to the pastel letters. So this is the one that we sliced out of the regular decal, if you guys remember. So I'm going to apply those one by one to each letter, just trying to get them as centered and aligned as I can. Now we're going to move into the very bottom of our tumbler. I'm going to take a piece of electrical tape, take away a little bit of the stickiness with my fingers, and I'm going to tape off the bottom of our cup following the bottom seam line of our vinyl to help me place it correctly. And then we're going to base paint it with some acrylic paint. This is the Delta Ceramcoat acrylic paint. It's my favorite. And then for the glitter, we're going to use Baby Violet from Peachy Olive Glitters. So I'm going to give that a really good coat of just the paint by itself first. Let that dry about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then go in with some of the Crystalac glitter glue as the adhesive for my glitter, and then I'll go in and just cover the entire bottom of the cup with Baby Violet. Now, I don't know why I did things in this order. I didn't add this final outline until after I had already glittered the bottom. The order does not matter. I don't know why I did it this way, but anyway, I took this really pretty pastel kind of cotton candy vinyl from Teckwrap Craft, and I cut our main offset out of this. So I made, like I said earlier, a thin offset of the thick white offset that we used, slice the white offset out, and now we're left with an outline of the entire thing, if that makes sense. So I'm going to apply this around the white glittered name that we have on our tumbler, and that's really just going to kind of border everything out, make everything look a little bit more finished, more professional, and add a little bit more color and pastel-ness to this design. Remember, we don't have any epoxy over the decals that we've already laid down, so just be careful when you're peeling your transfer tape up so you don't lift any of those things that we've already laid down up. Once we've got all of our vinyl laid down, I'm going to seal everything with a coat of polyacrylic. I did also seal the very bottom glitter of our cup. I just sealed the main body of the tumbler first and then moved down and sealed the glitter. And in this coat of polyacrylic, while it's still wet, I'm going to tap in a little bit of excess glitter just using my gloved finger like you can see here. I just dip my finger in the glitter shaker and then just kind of tap little sections of glitter onto the cup just to add a little bit of extra depth, a little bit of extra sparkle. You guys know I love extra sparkle. So I'm using 3 colors. I'm using Galadriel, Lassie, and then also Baby Violet, which is the same color that we used on the bottom of our cup. In the end, they all kind of ended up looking the same, so you don't have to use 3 different colors if you don't want to, but it does add a little bit of extra zhuzh to your design. Shout out to my friend Rachel from Mitten Made Craft for putting me on this idea. This is totally her thing and I'm just obsessed with doing it now, so thanks Rachel for my new obsession. Once the polyacrylic was all dry, I went in with my final 2 coats of epoxy. So here is the final tumbler design. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this tutorial inspires you to create something awesome of your very own. If you enjoyed the tutorial, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button down below. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you in my next one. Okay, love you. Bye. Here we go. What the heck was that? Tumbler tutorial. Why do I feel the need to talk like this? Okay, here we go. Get it together. You can do it. Just words. It's just words that you put together in a way that makes sense to other people when they listen to them.